On Friday the 27th of October, 1989, 10-year-old Amy Renee Mihaljevic disappeared after she was seen with two classmates at 3:30 p.m. at the Bay Square Shopping Center in Bay Village, Ohio. She did not arrive home from school at her normal time of 3:15 p.m., and her bicycle was still at Bay Middle School, where she was a fifth grader. She was last seen at the shopping center shortly after 5 p.m. by an adult who knew her, but nothing seemed unusual. She told the classmates she was waiting for a ride and that someone would be coming to pick her up. Sergeant Calvin Halliday said that she talked to her mother by telephone after school, and there seemed to be no problems. She was reported missing by her mother shortly after 6 p.m. The Bay Village police on the weekend after her disappearance started circulating a sketch of a man who was seen talking with Amy before she disappeared. A classmate saw Amy leaning against a post at the shopping center, which is across from the police department. She was seen talking to a white man who was described as being 5'8" to 5'9" in height, with a medium build, dark hair that may have been curly with a bald spot, round glasses, and a trace of beard growth. Amy Mihaljevic was described as being a 4'10", 90-pound girl and was wearing green sweatpants and a lavender and green sweatshirt when she was last seen. Police from Bay Village in Cleveland and several FBI agents got involved in the search for Amy in the northwestern area of Cuyahoga County. Bay Village firefighter Daryl Mattern searched a pond east of Bay Village, but nothing was found. It was revealed by Bay Village police that classmates said Amy told them she was going to meet an unknown male friend of her parents, whom she had not met in person, and intended to take her shopping. It was also revealed that Amy had told her mother, Margaret, that she was staying late after school on the Friday to attend a choir practice, and her mother later learned that there was no practice scheduled that day. Amy's bike was found at Bay Village Middle School, where she was a fifth grader. A $10,000 reward was offered by the Better Buick dealers in cooperation with the Bay Village Police Department in the Amy Mihaljevic Reward Fund. The public was asked if anyone had any information on the whereabouts of Amy or who may have seen her were asked to call the Bay Village Police Department. 5 days passed in the investigation into finding the missing 10-year-old, and it was revealed by her neighbor, Riley Bonham, that Amy was called by a man who promised to buy the girl's mother a present to celebrate her job promotion. She also claimed the man called Amy a second time to tell her she would also get presents. Riley Bonham said that Amy had not told her parents of the planned shopping spree because the presents were supposed to be a surprise. Bay Village Police Chief William Giroux and Special Agent William Garreau, in charge of the Cleveland FBI office, said on Monday, the 30th of October, 1989, that authorities have a very good reason to believe the individual responsible for the abduction spent time in the Bay Village Shopping Center prior to 2 p.m. on the Friday Amy went missing. On Tuesday, the 31st of October, 1989, law enforcement authorities started distributing 2 new artist renderings of the man believed to be Amy Mihaljevic's kidnapper. The suspected attacker is believed to be a white man, aged 30 to 35, between 5'8" and 5'10" tall, according to the description attached to the revised drawing made by FBI artists. The 2 new sketches were created from descriptions given by 2 classmates of Amy who were with her Friday afternoon outside the Baskin-Robbins store in the Bay Square Shopping Center at Wolf and Dover Center Roads at the time of the abduction. At the start of November 1989, Bay Village police were looking into reports that a telephone ploy was used in the suspected kidnapping of 10-year-old Amy Mihaljevic, and that the same ploy had been used twice before in the Cleveland area in the same year, 1989. Bay Village police believed Amy had got into a car with a stranger on the Friday afternoon she went missing after she had got a phone call from the man who claimed to be a friend of the family. Bay Village Police Chief William E. Garreau said on Thursday, the 2nd of November, 1989, that similar calls were made to a North Olmsted girl in April 1989 and to another girl in an eastern suburb in March of 1989. He said in each case those girls hung up, but the calls were very similar and that the investigators were looking for a common thread. In a Monday, 6th of November 1989, the Plain Dealer article, it was revealed the Bay Village Police and the FBI had questioned a North Olmsted man who left work at noon and did not return on October 27th, the day 10-year-old Amy Mihaljevic had disappeared from the Bay Square Shopping Center in Bay Village. Police Department spokesman Lieutenant Richard Wilson said the man who voluntarily came to the Bay Village Police Department for questioning on the 3rd of November 1989 was in his mid-30s and resembled the composite of the suspect in Amy's abduction. Lieutenant Richard Wilson said he was questioned by a team of Bay Village Police and FBI agents and was later released. Lieutenant Richard Wilson declined to reveal what the reason the man gave for leaving his job at Westlake Manufacturing Plant, where he worked, and why he did not return on October 27th. Wilson was not committed to say if the man was still a suspect. Investigators also wanted to speak to a man who was seen taking pictures of children with a video camera near Normandy School, City Hall, and Bay Square Shopping Center on October 26th and 27th. Bay Village Police wanted the individual who was videotaping to come forward and identify himself. It was also revealed in the article that a volunteer who was helping circulate flyers of the suspect said the reward had grown to $14,000 for any information, leading to a resolution of the case. On Tuesday, the 7th of November, 1989, the FBI and the Bay Village Police viewed the October 26, 1989, hard-copy television show Videotape, which showed freeway scenes and scenes from the Bay Village Square Shopping Center to see whether the suspect or his car was recorded. The FBI thought the suspect may have been casing the shopping center, either looking for Amy or someone else. Also, between 1 and 5:15 p.m. on Tuesday, the 7th of November 1989, 150 FBI agents and police searched Holly Hill Farm, acting on a tip where Amy frequently visited to go horseback riding, which was a 20-acre area near Bradley Road, between Walker and Detroit Roads, in Avon, Avon Lake, and Bay Village. Due to darkness, they called off the search and found nothing significant. They resumed the search the following day. Bay Village Police had checked 750 out of 1,500 tips they had received at that point. A former Ohio man, 28-year-old James Edward Vachuska, who was jailed in Louisiana on sexual assault and abduction charges, was considered a possible person of interest in 10-year-old Amy Mihaljevic's disappearance because the composite sketch that was used from Louisiana bore a resemblance to a sketch in Amy's case. James Vachuska was in Shreveport, Louisiana on the day Amy went missing and was at a Halloween party from 9 p.m. on October 27th and left at 1:30 a.m., if not later, according to Louisiana State University faculty advisor Lisa Johnson. Vachuska was enrolled at the university. Lisa Johnson also claimed that he tried to call her earlier on in the day, on October 27th between 3 and 3:45 p.m. at her home, but she didn't get to talk to him. She claimed she didn't know whether the call was local or long distance. Agent in charge of the Cleveland FBI office, William D. Brannan, said that the FBI were trying to determine whether he was in the area when Amy Mihaljevic went missing, and he is just one of many individuals who were being checked out. The sexual assault and abduction charges James Vachuska faced involved an 11-year-old Bossier City, Louisiana boy and an 11-year-old girl who was abducted from a Shreveport motel and sexually assaulted in a separate incident. On Thursday, the 9th of November 1989, the search continued in a wooded area near the Holly Hill Farm, where Amy Mihaljevic rode horses and was a stable member. The investigators found slacks at the farm, similar to a pair Amy had worn. Investigators were not sure if they were hers. In a Saturday, the 2nd of December, 1989, Plain Dealer article, it brought up an incident that occurred on Friday, the 1st of December, about two girls waiting for a school bus in the morning in Northfield Village at 8 a.m. to take them to Lee Eaton Elementary School. The girls were ages 10 and 11. A driver in a van tried to coax them into his van, and the two young girls fled. The 11-year-old gave a description of the man who attempted to abduct her and her friend, and she was shown several photos and drawings of the sketch in the Amy Mihaljevic case. She eventually chose one drawn by the FBI for the Amy Mihaljevic poster, who she thought looked like the attempted abductor. The attempted abductor wore glasses. On Monday, the 11th of December, 1989, it was Amy's 11th birthday, and her parents, Margaret and Mark Mihaljevic, talked to reporters at a press conference about a new nonprofit organization devoted to child safety that was launched the same day, and talked about their daughter, Amy, making a plea to the kidnapper to allow Amy to come home. An anonymous tip was made around the time of Amy's 11th birthday of a sighting of Amy Mihaljevic in the Middletown area of Bay Village. The tip did not turn out to be helpful to the investigation. On Tuesday, the 16th of January, 1990, the FBI released a profile of the abductor. The FBI believed the abductor probably acted alone and may have confided in someone to create a false alibi or have a person assist them in some way. The FBI also believed from their profile analysis that maybe the abductor exhibited behavior changes, such as the abductor becoming anxious or more reclusive, hiding themselves away from the public eye. More nervous and possibly used drugs and/or alcohol to cope, they may have been more reliant on a religious belief and may have been more eager to help their friends and/or relatives. It was reported in the Sentinel Tribune that on Tuesday, the 30th of January 1990, the FBI said that a person out shopping between November 20th and December 22nd, 1989, saw a girl resembling Amy Mihaljevic in a shopping mall, possibly the Eastland Mall in Tulsa, Oklahoma. FBI spokesman Dan Vogel considered an adult he had communicated with, who was the witness to seeing a girl who resembled Amy, was considered to be reliable, and the witness told FBI agents she had sat next to a girl who identified herself as Amy. Vogel said the witness, who was a woman, was 90% certain it was the same little girl and that the girl did not appear to be under stress. On Thursday, the 8th of February, 1990, Amy Mihaljevic's body was found along a roadside in Ashland County. Her body was taken to the Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office in Cleveland for positive identification. Ashland County Sheriff Kenneth Etzweiler said to a reporter that the time frame is just a guess, and said he believed the body appeared to have been there since, say, the latter part of November. The sheriff said, "A jogger spotted the body about 20 to 25 feet off of Ohio 1181 in a desolate rural region near the Huron County line around 7:40 a.m.
She just says, "I think I see a dead body. It may be a dummy. I'm not sure, but there's a body up the road. Call the police." That's what she asked me.
Did she say anything about what it looked like?
Later, she told me it had light-colored jogging pants on and it was face down. That's all I know. I think she said the back of its hair was messed up.
It's really hard to picture. You've been having this on television for 3 months. Yeah. And then you wake up in the morning and find it's about 300 yards, find the body about 300 yards from your house. And that is something you really sit down and think about then.
On Thursday, the 8th of February, 1990, in a press conference, the cause of death was revealed. and Bay Village Police Chief William E. Garreau said Amy Renee Mihaljevic's body was identified through dental records and that the cause of her death was from stab wounds to the neck. Police said Amy was killed within a week after being abducted. After dozens of law enforcement officials searched until sunset on Thursday, the day Amy's body was found, they still had not found the murder weapon, and there were no suspects as of Friday, the 9th of February, 1990. Amy's body was found fully clothed, face down in a weedy area near the edge of a cat wheat field, 18 feet from Ashland County Road 1181, northeast of Ruggles. In the Plain Dealer article on Wednesday, the 27th of June, 1990, it was revealed that a former wholesale rug salesman, a 41-year-old man named Ward Wheeler, was making inappropriate sexual in nature type calls to boys and girls in Sheffield Lake, and was convicted for doing so and was sentenced on May 26, 1990, to 6 months for the crime. He had drawn the attention of authorities investigating the abduction and murder of Amy Mihaljevic. Avon Lake Detective Sergeant William Jindra said Ward Wheeler had telephoned girls who rode horses at the same farm, Holly Hill Horse Farm, where Amy rode horses. Detective Sergeant Jindra revealed a day after the discovery of Amy's body that Wheeler had made a call to a boy residing in Avon Lake. 41-year-old Ward Wheeler of Shakespeare Lane had pleaded no contest and was convicted on Tuesday, the 26th of June, 1990, of 3 charges of telephone harassment for making the calls to the boy and girl from Avon Lake. He had been found guilty on all counts and was sentenced to 6 months in jail, got a $250 fine, and was ordered to receive psychological treatment. Police and FBI agents interviewed and questioned Ward Wheeler in the spring of 1990 about his whereabouts around the time Amy went missing on October 27, 1989. But according to Bay Village Lieutenant Richard A. Wilson, Ward Wheeler was ruled out as a suspect. On Sunday, the 8th of July, 1990, a 22-year-old man from Aurora who resembled the suspect sketch in Amy's case was arrested on a DUI charge. The FBI and Bay Village police officials downplayed the arrest as some break in the case because nothing tied him to Amy's case other than someone out there thinks he looks like the suspect. It was later revealed the 22-year-old lookalike was in jail when Amy was abducted. After a reenactment of Amy's case on a television show called Missing Reward was shown on Saturday, the 6th of October, 1990, the police received 75 phone calls from around the country claiming they knew someone who looked like the suspect sketch. On the 31st of October, 1990, FBI agents arrested a former Moraine, Ohio resident who was one of FBI's most wanted fugitives. The fugitive was 52-year-old Kenneth Robert Stanton, who was accused of impersonating an officer in child molestation, was arrested when he came out of his motel room in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Bay Village police wanted to question Stanton over the kidnapping and murder of Amy. Kenneth Robert Stanton, who was originally from Huntington, Indiana, was charged in June 1989 with fondling 2 young girls while posing as a policeman in Warner Robins, Georgia. He was also accused of molesting 11 girls in similar cases in Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi in June and July 1989. 50 telephone callers who called Bay Village police after the Unsolved Mysteries episode showing Amy's case said Stanton resembled one of the police composite sketches of the suspect in Amy's case. Bay Village Police Chief William E. Garreau said his investigators will brief the FBI agents about Amy's kidnapping to determine where Stanton was at the time Amy disappeared. Bay Village police said Stanton bore some facial resemblance to the police sketch, but said he was 10 to 15 years older, heavier, and taller than the man seen talking to Amy the afternoon she disappeared. The traveling salesman, 52-year-old Kenneth Robert Stanton, was never cleared as a person of interest in connection to Amy's case. Although his modus operandi was similar, he later was not considered a viable suspect based on available forensic evidence. On Monday, the 3rd of December, 1990, Bay Village Police Lieutenant Richard A. Wilson said a woman told police 2 weeks ago that she saw a man while traveling on Ashland County Road 1181 on February 7, 1990. She said publicity after the one-year anniversary made her come forward. She said she didn't think the information was important, but investigators thought the opposite, and her information was valuable to them. She said she saw a 25 to 30-year-old white man, about 6 feet tall with a thin face and a very light complexion, standing behind a dark blue hatchback car around 6 p.m., 13 hours before Amy's body was discovered in the same Ashland County field. She said the hatch was open on his car and the man had his hands on the car's back bumper. Bay Village Police Chief William E. Garreau said he questioned what the man was doing there in the same area as the body. He said, "If he were an innocent bystander, I assume he would come forward and tell us." Bay Village Police Lieutenant Richard A. Wilson said he doubted the man was disposing of Amy's body when he was sighted, but that he could have placed Amy's body there earlier. He said it isn't unusual for the person to return to the scene to pick up something. He said maybe the person wanted to see why the body had not been found yet. The new composite sketch of the man was released, which looks significantly different from the other sketches that were released prior.
This is the man police and FBI agents are now looking for. He's 25 to 35 years of age, stands 6 feet, and is light-complected. 13 hours before Amy's body was found along Ashland County Road 1181 last February, a witness spotted the man standing next to a dark blue hatchback. The hatchback was open. Lieutenant Richard Wilson says the witness waited a year before coming forward.
Up to that point, the witness didn't feel that the information was very important.
In addition to the new composite drawing, the Mihaljevic investigation has taken yet a new turn when a man walked up to a Salvation Army bell ringer over the weekend and confessed to being Amy's killer. The man was around 40 years old, had thick wire-rimmed glasses.
The individual went into the grocery store, came back out, said it again.
He then got into a dark brown Chevy pickup with a cap and running boards. Lieutenant Wilson said the man did not match their new composite drawing. The two new developments bring back the horrible memories for Amy's mother, Margaret, but for her, the pain will never go away.
It's very difficult to handle, but by the same token, if these things weren't coming forth, that means people would have forgotten, and I'm very, very grateful that they haven't stopped looking.
If you recognize this man, call Bay Village Police at 871-1234 or the FBI. The number is 522-1400.
In the Sunday 9th of February 1992 Plain Dealer article, it reported that an anonymous caller was giving verbally abusive, threatening exchanges, such as death threats, to girls and 3 of their classmates who went to Jameson Intermediate School on Harvard Avenue. A parent said the caller threatened to hack one of the girls to death, to sexually abuse another until she dies, and to decapitate another and hang her head by her hair. The girls received more than 50 calls. One of the girls got visited, and he threatened to get another girl after he fled. Chris Rinaldi's daughter got a glimpse of the man after he kicked a side door and screamed 3 times, "I told you I'll get you." She described the man as being 35 to 40 years old and wearing a dark hooded sweatshirt. The caller was asked if he killed Amy Mihaljevic, and he frantically began punching the telephone keys before hanging up. The phone calls to the Jameson female students started when the parents of the Jameson students gave the phone numbers to the school. On the night of Saturday, the 27th of September, 1992, a 16-year-old Norton, Ohio girl escaped from an attempted abduction as she was walking home. She was pulled into the man's car and he grabbed her, binding her wrists together. He was getting ready to drive off in the car, and the girl struggled to free her hands and kicked the car door open, rolling onto the pavement. She escaped. She was left with red marks along her wrists and a small scrape on her knee from tumbling out of the car. She provided a rough description of the man, describing him as being 5 feet 6 inches tall, in his late 30s or early 40s, with short brown hair, brown eyes, and a dark complexion. He was wearing a blue flannel shirt, blue jeans, a dark jacket, and a dark baseball cap. It was reported in the Akron Beacon Journal in an article released on Wednesday, the 14th of October, 1992, that a man with a history of child molestation was being looked at as a possible person of interest in the murders of 10-year-old Amy Mihaljevic from Bay Village, Ohio, and the murder of 10-year-old Rennell Eichstätt from Ripon, Wisconsin. He was also considered a person of interest in numerous attempted abductions in Summit and Stark counties. He was released from a Wisconsin prison about a month before Amy Mihaljevic's abduction from Bay Village, Ohio. The man considered a possible person of interest was 63-year-old Thomas J. McDowell, and authorities said he had Ohio, Michigan, and Florida driver's licenses. The Ohio license listed the hostel he was eventually arrested at. Serial killer David Spanbauer was later convicted for the murder of 10-year-old Rennell Eichstätt from Ripon, Wisconsin. In a Plain Dealer article on Monday, the 26th of October, 1992, it was revealed investigators had about a dozen solid persons of interest, most of them between the ages of 30 and 35. The article identified specific individuals of interest. One of the persons of interest was a man named Billy Strunak, whom an FBI agent thought might have been the perpetrator. Billy Strunak, a man whose mugshot from a rape charge in 1983 resembled one of the earlier sketches. Billy would also hang out around and sit on the bench in Bay Square Shopping Center in Bay Village, where Amy disappeared. Billy sent a sympathy card to Amy's mother, which stated that it was from a concerned friend. He vehemently denied any involvement in Amy's death when he was interviewed in his studio apartment. Billy later committed suicide a couple of weeks after Amy's body was discovered on February 8, 1990. Billy had written a suicide note and took his own life by ingesting a mix of Coca-Cola and a gasoline additive at breakfast and slipped into a coma, dying 3 days later. So his death occurred around February 22, 1990. After Billy committed suicide, it was revealed in the article that his apartment had been cleaned down to the walls, according to FBI profiler Robert Ressler. FBI profiler Robert Ressler believed his suicide might point to evidence of Billy's guilt. Other investigators disagreed with his opinion and do not believe Strunak was connected to Amy's death, and Strunak did not mention Amy in his suicide note. In the article, it was also revealed by FBI profiler Robert Ressler that a turquoise jumpsuit Amy was wearing had been taken off her body and put on again after her death, and that her body had been in the Ashland County field a week at the most. In a Friday, 1st of October 1999, Plain Dealer article, new information was revealed by detectives about items Amy was wearing, such as a pale green sweatshirt with a lavender trim, and she was also wearing horsehead earrings and a pair of leather ankle boots with vertical rows of silver studs, a white nylon jacket, and was carrying a black leather folder with the Buick 3 chevron logo with Best in Class embossed on it. In the same article, it was revealed more than 14,000 people had been interviewed and more than 100 suspects were investigated before lack of evidence caused the investigation to go cold. On September 29, 2001, the mother of Amy Mihaljevic was found dead in her Las Vegas apartment. She had suffered from lupus and had a slight stroke just a year before. Margaret suffered from chronic alcoholism and died at the age of 54. Family and friends of Margaret said her long decline started when her daughter disappeared. On Sunday, October 13, 2002, 41-year-old Richard Allen Fulbert of Fairview Park was arrested after he told 600 parishioners at St. Angela Mercy Catholic Church that he killed Amy Mihaljevic. Richard Allen Fulbert was a mental health patient and told the congregation that he was Richard Allen and that he was Satan and killed Amy. After Fulbert's arrest, police later announced that he was not a suspect in Amy's case. On Tuesday, the 23rd of July, 2003, authorities revealed that Amy's killer may be keeping her earrings, boots, and her notebook as souvenirs. Her earrings were turquoise horsehead earrings, her boots were black ankle boots with silver studs, and she was carrying a leather-bound Buick brand notebook that read, "Best in Class," given to her by her father, who had worked at General Motors at the time she disappeared. The notebook was in her denim backpack, which had white buckles and white piping that she was wearing, was also taken, and so was her white windbreaker that she had been wearing. In November 2006, 28-year-old blogger and writer James Renner released a book, Amy, My Search for Her Killer, Secrets and Suspects in the Unsolved Murder of Amy Mihaljevic. In the book, he revealed information about Amy's time at Holly Hills Farm and about a person of interest named Harold Bound, who worked at the farm and was the son of the owner of the farm. The FBI were interested in him. He was a paranoid schizophrenic who failed lie detector tests, and according to James Renner in his book, Bound was interrogated every day in the first week Amy was missing. Bound was also given a sodium pentothal test, which was a truth serum that Bound was familiar with from his time he spent in the Air Force. He was never ruled out as a possible suspect, but isn't considered to be involved by law enforcement. Renner also went into details about a local handyman who was hired by the neighbors of the Mihaljevics, who had changed his alibi and was considered creepy. His alibi was confirmed to be solid by an FBI agent, but according to Renner, the statement the FBI agent gave him was like a riddle. He revealed different information in his book, including information that the FBI were looking for a green van at one point, according to what he wrote in his book. In a March 2007 News Journal article, Terry Mapes criticizes James Renner's research, asserting that he was implicating innocent men. The article discusses information from Renner's book, including the unsolved Sam Shepard murder case in Bay Village, and highlights the ironies Renner mentioned, where he alluded that a police officer could be responsible. In November 2008, the Cleveland Scene writer and author James Renner claimed Nord Junior High School teacher Dean Runkle was the prime suspect in the abduction and murder of Amy Mihaljevic. Renner went quite in depth about his research on Dean Runkle, with claims that Runkle had behaved inappropriately and that he sent letters to a young man who attended Sailor Way Middle School, where he taught. In the article, he claimed several students were invited back to Runkle's apartment after school. Renner claimed that he learned in March 2008 that the FBI were planning on re-interviewing an intriguing suspect who they had been looking at since 2002 and had interviewed in 2005. He claimed during the delays of when the FBI were going to re-interview the suspect is when he learned that Dean Runkle was the suspect they wanted to re-interview. Dean Runkle also refused to give his fingerprints, according to Renner. In October 2008, Renner went to visit Dean Runkle in Florida. Dean had left Ohio in 2003, which Renner claimed is when investigators began to question his relatives and co-workers. Renner ended up talking to Runkle near an apartment complex as he was walking across the road. Renner said Runkle told him he didn't leave Ohio because of Amy, but for health reasons. In October 2008, Dean Runkle was 65, but Renner claimed in the article he could pass for 45. Renner claimed he asked questions about the circumstantial evidence against him, with Runkle responding with, "I know I'm their top suspect, but I answered the FBI's questions. I took their lie detector test, and they haven't done anything to me. I was always at school. When would I have had time to kill her? What history do I have of inappropriate behavior with kids? I was around kids all day." Renner said he asked him about the boy who he sent letters to, and Runkle responded with, "Yeah, I wrote a lot of letters. He was like a son. That was a difficult time in my life," he says. "We were close, very close, but it was never inappropriate." Renner then asked him about the sexual nature of the letters, according to the Cleveland Scene article from November 2008. And Renner claimed in the article that Runkle looked away when that question was put to him. And Runkle said to him that it was a difficult time in his life, saying he was very close with the boy, but it was never inappropriate. In the same Cleveland Scene article, Renner said he asked Runkle if he thought it was possible that a student of his could have showed me a picture of him volunteering at the Lake Erie Nature and Science Center, and Runkle responded and said, "I wouldn't be surprised if I was in a picture at the Lake Erie Nature Center, but I'm telling the truth when I say I don't remember being there." Runkle said he didn't remember ever being physical with his female students. Renner asked him if he had used the logbook at the Nature Center to gather phone numbers for girls in North Olmsted, and in the article, Renner claimed Runkle decided to stop talking and walked away, turning a corner, saying he had nothing to confess to. On May 8, 2013, a man named Ariel Castro was charged with 4 counts of kidnapping and 3 counts of rape. Ariel Castro kidnapped 2 girls and a young woman. He kidnapped 21-year-old Michelle Knight on August 23, 2002, kidnapped Amanda Berry on April 21, 2003, a day before her 17th birthday, and kidnapped 14-year-old Gina DeJesus on April 2, 2004. She was a close friend of Ariel Castro's daughter. All 3 women were rescued on May 6, 2013, when Amanda Berry escaped and alerted neighbors and police. Castro was arrested on the same day. All 3 women were from Cleveland, Ohio. Ariel Castro was sentenced on August 1, 2013, and was given life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 1,000 years behind bars. On Thursday, the 17th of October, 2013, missing person bulletins of Christina Lynn Adkins and Amy Mihaljevic were on display at the FBI's Cleveland office before a news conference announcing charges against Elias Acevedo Sr. He was charged with killing 18-year-old Christina Adkins and Pamela Pemberton. In a Tuesday, November 5, 2013, Plain Dealer article, it was reported that FBI Special Agent Phil Torsney had returned to work on Amy Mihaljevic's case again after working on her case in 1989. At an 11 a.m. Thursday, June 23, 2016 press conference, law enforcement officials revealed new evidence in Amy's case. The new evidence was an avocado green quilted curtain, which was approximately 68 inches long by 27 inches wide and appeared to be repurposed from bedding, possibly a bedspread, and had hand-sewn tab loops at the top, suggesting it was crafted by someone rather than mass-manufactured. A blanket was also a new item revealed, which was located with the curtain 14 feet apart from where Amy's body was discovered in a rural field off County Road 1181 in Ashland County. The forensic evidence that was revealed was canine hair, which was both on the curtain and the blanket, which scientifically matched to Jake, the family dog of the Mihaljevics. Investigators believe they were the items used to wrap Amy's body, either at the crime scene or during transport to the location where she was found. Amy was not found wrapped in the items, and it was later assumed they originated from elsewhere, like from the site where the murder occurred.
1989, Amy was abducted from the Bay Village Square, which is about a half mile down the road here. She left school about 2:05 in the afternoon, walked to the center with a couple friends, and she was last seen at that center between 2:15 and 2:30 that day.
The yellow X at the top is the curtain. That's where the curtain was found from her body, which is down there in the pink. The red X is the blanket. They're 14 feet apart from each other. They were found the day her body was recovered in the walk around that we all did with a lot of other materials. We submitted the curtain and the blanket that you're going to see and be able to take pictures of to laboratories for forensic analysis, found canine hairs on those items, and there are microscopic similarities between the canine hairs from these 2 items and the hairs originally taken from the Mihaljevic dog. It's handmade, and we're hoping somebody recognizes it. And if we can find the person who, somebody can call us saying, my mom made this curtain, my grandma made this curtain, it was hanging in my brother.
In October 2024, it was revealed unknown male nuclear DNA was found on Amy's clothing.
A decades-old cold case with no answer.
I do remember how it shook Bay Village.
Nearly 35 years ago, 10-year-old Amy Mihaljevic's body was found in Ashland County, stabbed to death.
They said, Amy's not home, and she started calling all her friends.
For years, detectives have worked that case.
We're hopeful for the whole thing. Well, we want justice for Amy.
Family and friends have prayed for answers.
It's something that you can never stop thinking about.
And now, just weeks before the anniversary of her disappearance,
I don't think anybody that lives here or has lived here hasn't heard about it and doesn't think about it from time to time when they drive past that shopping mall.
there are new developments in the case.
I've never given up hope.
Bay Village detectives are one step closer to solving a cold case murder from more than 30 years ago, which is giving this family some hope. I'm Remy Murray with the details of this investigation.
Hard to believe 35 years.
More than 3 decades later, and Mark Mihaljevic says the person responsible for killing his daughter Amy Mihaljevic is still unknown.
But whenever you look back on time, it seems like it just happened yesterday.
Even as Mihaljevic and his family continue to grieve through this unbearable pain, he says he has never given up hope.
Never, 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 never. There was no reason to until they find the person that did it.
Amy was just 10 years old when she went missing and was later found stabbed to death in a field on Township Road 1181 in Ashland County on February 8, 1990. Now, as the anniversary of Amy's disappearance approaches, Bay Village detectives told News 5 in a statement that new DNA evidence recently found on Amy's clothing could lead to the discovery of her killer.
This idea that you can beat DNA or beat the program just doesn't happen much anymore.
According to Bay Village Police Department, investigators recently retested Amy's clothing for DNA, and the lab found unknown male DNA on her clothing. Detectives told us they were informed by their lab that the amount of male DNA is very low, so they will not be able to get a profile off the DNA at this point. Still, detectives say they remain optimistic because they've been told new DNA tests are on the horizon that could identify DNA profiles with the small amount they have.
It's amazing that there's still people that have an interest.
This interest has even attracted Bay Village residents like Mark Kavesdi, who started a remembrance walk for Amy 4 years ago.
If we do nothing in these scenarios, then more times than not, things won't happen.
But Kavesdi says he's hopeful this effort will continue to raise awareness and money for the Amy Fund, which he says is all used to help detectives with the investigation for things like DNA testing.
I know there's many cases that are unsolved that maybe in some scenarios they don't have the same momentum, they don't have the same support network. And Amy's one of, I'm sure, thousands of cases right across the country. So maybe it can be a model down the road.
It's just unbelievable, the amount of support after all this time.
The walk organized in honor of Amy is scheduled for Saturday, October 26th at 9 in the morning. For more information, head to our website at news5cleveland.com. For News 5, I'm Remy Murray reporting.
On September 2nd, 2025, it was revealed by Cleveland 19 News that new DNA testing was underway on new hairs, possibly from her killer, which did not match hers or her family members.
New DNA testing underway in the Amy Mihaljevic murder case. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tiffany Tucker. So hair, possibly from her killer, is being analyzed at a lab in California.
That's right. I'm Brian Duffy. Good evening, everyone. After more than 3 decades, new technology is leading to new potential in solving the 10-year-old's murder. 19 News anchor Nicole Versansky has the story that you'll see only on 19.
Every time we send something to a lab, we're like, we hope, we hope, we hope.
They're trying to get to their Aunt Phil's house.
New hope for catching Amy Mihaljevic's killer. Bay Village Detective Sergeant Jay Ellish tells me hairs, possibly from the murderer, have been found on Amy's clothing. Because of major advancements in forensics and testing, scientists are reanalyzing some evidence, uncovering these new clues, oftentimes so small they had never been detected before. These new hairs, Ellish says, are not Amy's or any of her family members.
We feel that these are sort of important, and we're going to get those tested right now.
Right now, Estrella Forensics in San Jose, California, is examining those hairs.
The lab tests in 2 phases. The first phase is, can we get a profile? And if the answer is yes, we go to phase 2 where we get a profile.
A DNA profile that could be Amy's killer. It's been nearly 36 years since the 10-year-old was kidnapped from a shopping plaza in Bay Village. Her body found 4 months later, stabbed and dumped in a field 50 miles away.
Do you have suspects over the years that you have DNA from that you could potentially try to match with a profile?
Yeah, so we've obtained DNA swabs from around 250 different people with this case. And we've been comparing those profiles to any DNA profile that we're able to get. The hope is that one of these swabs, one of these DNA profiles off the swabs, I should say, will hit. But we haven't had that yet.
Just last year, 19 News was first to tell you about another big break in the case. Powerful new technology uncovering nuclear DNA from a man on the back of Amy's sweatpants. We traveled to DNA Labs International in Florida to see the very machine scientists there used to make that huge discovery.
Our feeling is that that male profile has to be the person that was responsible for this. I thought, wow, this is huge, but then we find out how small of an amount it is.
Fractions of a nanogram. Too small now to identify whose DNA it is. But the hope is, with all these advancements in science, that will soon change.
At this point, we just need to wait for something that can be strong enough for us to be able to make an arrest.
But while the waiting game continues on DNA testing, investigators are still actively looking into suspects.
When was the last time you brought someone in for questioning in this case?
Within the past year, we get, like we've put out there before, we've gotten around roughly 300 tips a year for this case, whether they be phone calls or emails.
Ellish says they follow up on every one of those leads.
After 35 years, the fact that we still get that many calls and emails is unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
More than 3 decades later, the search for answers is not letting up, and time will soon tell if investigators are close to finally getting justice for Amy. Nicole.
Detective Sergeant Ellish told Nicole they are expecting to hear from the California lab this fall, so very soon, if a DNA profile is possible. Of course, we will update you.
35 years have passed by since 10-year-old Amy Mihaljevic disappeared, but newfound optimism is in the air with the news of the forensic evidence findings and new DNA testing. Hopefully, there's a breakthrough coming, and her unsolved murder is finally solved.